When you hear Nights in White Satin, something shifts. It's not just music, it's memory, emotion, and atmosphere all at once. At the center of that feeling is Justin Hayward, the voice that helped define an era. For decades, he stood as the emotional core of the Moody Blues, delivering songs that felt both intimate and expansive. But behind the timeless melodies lies a story filled with difficult decisions, creative boundaries, and moments that challenged both the band's unity and its future. While fans remember the music, the reality behind the scenes was often far more complicated. Success brought recognition, but it also brought conflict, forcing Hayward and his bandmates to define who they were, not just as artists, but as a group with limits and rules. From small beginnings to big dreams, Justin Hayward's story begins in Swindon, England, where music entered his life early. Encouraged by his family, he picked up the guitar as a teenager and quickly found himself drawn to songwriting. There was something natural about it, an instinct for melody and emotion that would later define his career. By his mid-teens, he was already performing in local venues, quietly building confidence and experience. His early work with Marty Wilde helped him understand how to craft songs that connected with listeners. These weren't glamorous years, but they were essential. They gave him the tools he would later rely on when opportunity came knocking. And when it did, it changed everything. The turning point that changed everything. In 1966, Hayward joined the Moody Blues, stepping in at a time when the band was searching for a new direction. Alongside John Lodge, he helped reshape their sound, moving away from simple pop into something more layered and emotional. It didn't take long for his influence to be felt. His voice became central to the band's identity, and his songwriting brought a depth that set them apart. This wasn't just a lineup change, it was a transformation. The Moody Blues were no longer just another band. They were becoming something distinctive, something lasting. An album that redefined a genre. The release of Days of Future Past marked a major shift, not only for the band, but for rock music itself. Blending orchestral elements with rock, the album created a sound that felt cinematic and deeply emotional. Songs like Tuesday Afternoon, and especially Nights in White Satin, became defining tracks. Hayward's songwriting stood at the center of it all, guiding the band into new territory. The album wasn't just successful, it was influential, helping pave the way for concept albums and more experimental approaches in mainstream music. It proved that rock could be more than entertainment, it could be an experience. The quiet strength. Behind the fame. Unlike many artists of his era, Hayward maintained a relatively private and grounded lifestyle. While others embraced the chaos of fame, he focused on music and family. This choice gave him stability, allowing him to sustain a long and consistent career. Colleagues often described him as calm and focused, someone who preferred working on melodies over engaging in unnecessary conflict. That quiet discipline became one of his greatest strengths. It allowed him to navigate decades in an industry known for burning people out quickly. The Moraz dispute. That drew a line, one of the most talked about conflicts in the band's history involved Patrick Moraz. After contributing to several projects, Moraz later sought recognition as a permanent member of the band. What followed was a legal dispute that forced the group to clarify roles and agreements. The court ultimately ruled that he had been a contracted musician rather than a full member, though he was owed compensation for unpaid work. For Hayward and the band, the situation wasn't just legal, it was personal. It forced them to define boundaries between collaboration and membership. It also served as a reminder that in the music industry, creative partnerships must be clearly structured, no matter how close they may seem. When the music meets reality. The Moores case revealed something many fans don't often consider. Bands are not just creative units, they are also business entities. Agreements, contracts, and expectations all play a role in how things unfold. Hayward addressed the situation with a level of honesty that surprised some fans. Rather than maintaining a polished image, he acknowledged the reality behind the decision. It wasn't about conflict, it was about clarity. And sometimes, clarity comes at a cost. The end of an era. Another defining moment came after the passing of Graeme Edge, a founding member of the band. His absence marked a turning point. For Hayward, continuing under the same name without key members didn't feel right. He made it clear that the chapter of the Moody Blues had come to an end. It wasn't a dramatic announcement. It was a quiet but firm decision. For fans, it was difficult to accept. But for Hayward, It was about honoring what the band had been, rather than trying to recreate it without its original spirit. Choosing independence over nostalgia, rather than holding on to the past, Hayward chose to focus on his solo career. This decision gave him freedom to create without compromise, and to explore music on his own terms. While reunions often attract attention, he made it clear that not every story needs to be revisited. Sometimes moving forward is the more honest choice. That perspective hasn't always been popular, but it has been consistent. A career beyond the band? Hayward's solo work proved that his talent extended far beyond the group. His contribution to Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds, particularly the song Forever Autumn, showcased his ability to stand alone. It became a major success, reinforcing his identity as an artist in his own right. Over the years, he continued releasing music that reflected his evolving style, always staying true to his emotional core. A legacy that lives in sound. Justin Hayward's legacy isn't just about success. It's about endurance, honesty, and emotional connection. His songs have outlived trends, continuing to resonate with new generations. Whether through the haunting beauty of Nights in White Satin or the quiet depth of his later work, his music carries something timeless. The controversies, the decisions, the endings, they're all part of the story. But what remains strongest is the music itself, the echo that never ends. In the end, Justin Hayward's journey is a reminder that great art often comes with complexity. Behind every melody is a story, and behind every story is a series of choices. Some are celebrated, others questioned. But together they create something lasting, and as long as those songs continue to play, his voice, steady, reflective, and unmistakably human, will never truly fade.